Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Grace and I'm very happy to have you here. Today I'm going to show you how to make 3 different classic cocktails that are only 3 ingredients each. As always, these are at-home versions of the cocktails, so you don't need to have any bartending experience. I'm going to show you the absolute basics so that you can achieve these cocktails at home. First, we are going with an oldie but a goodie, the old-fashioned. Now, I'm just going to let you know, I'm not including garnishes in the 3 ingredients. When I'm talking about 3 ingredient cocktails, I'm just talking about like the 3 core ingredients, so to speak. So in the old fashioned, what we're going to use today is Bulleit bourbon, some maple syrup as the sweetener, and Angostura bitters. So straight in, we've got our Angostura bitters, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna do about 4 dashes of the bitters, 1 bar spoon, about a teaspoon of maple syrup. With an old-fashioned, if you like it to be a little more sweet, add more maple syrup. Same goes with if you want it to be a little less sweet, just add a little bit less. 2 ounces of bourbon. Now I recently invested in a mixing glass, but if you wanted to make this drink at home and you don't have a mixing glass, you can either stir it down in a shaker if you've got a shaker, or you can also just build the cocktail in the glass that you're going to serve it in. And we're going to stir this for about 30 seconds. So the point of the stirring is to chill down the booze as much as possible, and also to get a little bit of dilution so that it doesn't taste super strong. That part's really up to you though. Some people, they don't want it to dilute it at all because they want there to be as much of the booziness there. For me, I do like it to be a little bit diluted. You can see by the outside of my mixing glass that it's starting to get nice and chilled. Perfect. Now we're gonna serve this drink in a old-fashioned glass or rocks glass. The garnish for old-fashioned is orange peel. Slicing off the edges. And then to finish off the drink, you're gonna just twist the orange to release the zest or the oils. It smells amazing anytime you do this. And then I like to just put a bit of the zest around the rim as well. And you stick it right into the glass. Cheers. Old-fashioned is a classic for a reason. I don't know if you remember, in popular culture when Ryan Gosling, what movie was that in? He was in that movie with Emma Stone. And like they go back to his place and he makes her an old-fashioned, and then like old-fashions just took off again in popularity. But I know for me, when I was working in restaurants and bars, old-fashions was one of the most popular drinks to order. It's a big industry favorite as well. I know if you're ever like hanging out with bartenders or whatever, they always love to order old-fashions. And the key is you want to make sure that you're using a bourbon that you like. In the past, I've used some bourbons that aren't quite as higher quality, and the way I accommodate for it is by just either like adding a little bit more maple syrup or diluting it for a little bit longer to take away some of the harshness. Really simple to achieve at home. Like I said, you don't even need a mixing glass as long as you've got a glass to put the ice and the ingredients into, and just stir it down until it tastes right. It's gonna be a boozy afternoon, I think. All right, next up, we are making the Negroni. Negronis are also super popular, and these more basic 3 ingredient drinks, I think are really popular for a reason. You know, it's just one of those things. Anyways, the Negroni recipe is probably the easiest recipe to remember because it's equal parts of 3 spirits. So it's equal parts gin, Campari, and sweet vermouth. Today we are going to be using 3/4 of an ounce for each ingredient. So we are going straight in with 3/4 of an ounce of gin, 3/4 of an ounce of Campari, which is a bitter liqueur, and 3/4 of an ounce of sweet vermouth. One tip for your vermouth is to make sure you store it in the fridge once it's been opened. because it actually is a fortified wine and it needs to be stored in the fridge. If you don't store it in the fridge, it will go off. So that's a little hot tip for you. Once you have all your ingredients together, load it up with ice and give it a stir. I'm gonna stir again for about 30 seconds. The same as the old fashioned. We're trying to get it as cold as possible and dilute the booze just a little bit so that it tastes smooth. Like the old fashioned, it's served in a rocks glass or an old fashioned glass. So you may have noticed the Negroni is the exact same method and garnish as an old fashioned, which is incredibly convenient if you're going to be hosting. It's kind of nice whenever you're just working with the one fruit for a garnish. I'm a big fan of Negronis because I love these bitter, fresh aperitifs. The interesting thing too about a Negroni is that the principle applies to a couple of other cocktails as well. So you can actually swap out the gin for this drink and add Prosecco instead, and then you have a Negroni Sbagliato. If you want to see how to make that, I've got that video linked here. You could also turn this into a Boulevardier by swapping out the gin for bourbon. I've also made a video about that, which you could check out here. Clearly the running theme is I love these kind of bitter drinks, so. Today we've got the true classic though, the original Negroni. Delicious. For our last cocktail, we're gonna mix it up a little bit and make a sidecar. So the ingredients in a sidecar are brandy, orange liqueur, and lemon juice. If you're ever wondering when you should stir a cocktail and when you should shake a cocktail, a general principle is if there is citrus, like lemon juice or lime juice, or if there's egg white, typically you shake the cocktail. So today we are going to be using our cocktail shaker to make this sidecar. 1.5 ounces of brandy, 3/4 ounce of orange liqueur. Today I'm using triple sec. And 3/4 ounce of lemon juice. You're gonna shake until it's cold. The shaker is frozen, so I'm guessing the drink is cold enough. Ideally, after you shake it a drink like that, you would want to double strain so that you could make sure you get any of the little particles of ice out. I unfortunately do not have a second strainer today, so I'm just single straining this one. And as I promised, the garnish yet again is orange peel. Release the zest, the oils, and that's a sidecar. It's very full. Not bad. Sidecar is pretty light and fresh. You definitely get a good bit of the orange flavor. If you want it to be a little bit stronger, you could always add maybe 1/2 ounce of the orange liqueur and keep it at 1.5 ounces of brandy, or you could bump it up so that it's 2 ounces of brandy and 1/2 ounce of orange liqueur. As always, just play around with it to see what flavor you like the most. But for me, this is nice. This is really light and would, again, make a really great aperitif if you're hosting people having a party. I think be a crowd pleaser. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you are still thirsty and would like to find out how to make a Boulevardier, click this video here. Cheers.